Welcome back, YouTube viewers. Today we're going to work more on this top deck. We're going to work on a couple of sensor assemblies in there, which are basically rollers that go down to stuff. A little bit different. I'm going to actually try to do this in real time with few edits, just so you can see how long it actually does take to do some of this stuff. So, hang on and let's take a look at how this works. Okay, this is called pre-stabilizer roller. Obviously, pre-stabilizer roller assembly. So let's take this apart right now. Let's get this circuit board right here out of the way, which I see that's not the way to get it out of there. We're going to flip it this way and remove the whole bracket so the optical part comes out too. All right. Remove these two bottom screws. And that removes this whole little optical board here. You see there's an optical sensor up here. It goes down and connects to this whole little circuit board there. So I'm going to set that aside for a second. And let's go into the actual roller assembly here. I've already removed the top of this. We'll go down in here and loosen up this screw. Which should make this roller come off, I hope. I'm not quite sure because there is a sort of nut-looking thing inside there. Yep, and here we go. And I see the roller assembly comes right off of there. Okay, now we're going to be faced with our favorite thing, a bearing here and a bearing down under here. So to get into those bearings, we're going to have to remove this C-clip here. I was looking this up and it's called an E-clip. I guess because it looks like an E, right? So it's an E-clip. Remove the E-clip. Remove this washer that holds it all in. Below that washer there's going to be another little washer. See that right there? Another washer. And then the shaft should come right out of here. Which now this has got the springs on here. Let's see if we can get it far enough that we can remove the bearing. Nope, we're going to have to give it a little pound. Let me pause this while I go get a punch to get this out of here. Okay, I'm back. I got a little brass punch here. Place that down in there. A little tap. Try to tap out that shaft from the bearing. There we go. Felt like it just came, yep. And then you'll see there's the bearing, spacer, spring. That's it for this side, and the other side is the shaft. And on the shaft there's a bearing in here too, on the top part of it, which is not going to want to come out nice and easy. So we'll try. There, a little punch down inside there, nice and easy. It's on the inner bearing race. Tap, and there it is. There's the top bearing. So there we are, totally disassembled now. So now, yeah, there's a little grit in that bearing. And I can feel that one's got a little bit of grit too. So now we're going to take this, clean these bearings, clean all this stuff, and put this back together. Okay, now I've cleaned all those assemblies off camera and cleaned the bearings out, re-greased them. So we need to put this all back together again. So first thing is top bearing, okay? And this is the top because there's the little captive ring inside there. I don't know if you can see that. Try to tip it so you can see it, but there's the ring in there. So first thing we do is place the top bearing up here. All right, it's going to just place right in there like that. Okay, and then the shaft is going to go in there. Now, one thing to look at on the shaft is, notice right here, there's some shims. Because again, these need to be shimmed correctly for the height. So those shims are in there. And just before we put this in there, we're going to give it just a drop of oil here and here, just so it slides a little better, easier into the bearing itself. All right, so then it goes in like that. So nice and easy that went in. Okay, go over to the bottom of it now. And the first thing that goes in is the spring. After the spring comes the spacer. The spacer, we put the bottom bearing in. Slides right in like that. And we put this little ring on. And the ring that holds the whole thing captive. All right, now we got to fight the spring here a little bit. So we have to push it against there. We got to get this down. But this other ring's got to go down smoothly. And then this one, because we got to clear that little opening for the snap ring to go on. All right, see right now this one's fighting us there. So we're just going to get it shoved over a little bit. So it'll slide. Oops, see how it slid right off right there. So that's what you're trying not to do. All right, slide that down. There you go. Now you can see the gap there. And with the gap there, we slide this on. We get some pliers and we snap it in place. All right, that snaps in place. This turns nicely. Okay. And then our roller goes on top of this whole thing. Slides down on here. And this has got a little, I don't know what you call it, a little, well, you see this little flat, and it's got to go in here, and it will actually catch into that spot. Oops. Screws out here. So flat is on here, actually. Interesting. Didn't know that. All right. Put our nut down on here. Tighten this down, and we just got to catch that thing so those flats are in the right spot. I think maybe I could do that with the pliers. And if we use these like this, you tighten that so it's nice and tight. No movement. The only movement here is against the spring, but there you go. Smooth. Now, the other thing I did off camera is on this little opto board, I removed the caps that were on there and placed them with 2 brand new caps, just in case. Okay? And so under in here, there's actually like an LED and an opto sensor and they shine up, and this is what's actually seeing the tape go by here, and that's how it senses the tape like that. So now this being done right here, I can put this back on here, just like I believe it goes like that. No, like this. I'm sorry. Well, it goes like there's somewhere. We'll have to look back at the video to see exactly where it's placed. So hold on. Okay, thanks to the wonders of videotape and photographs, we're able to get it back in the correct position. Now tighten down, spins nice smoothly, and this one is ready to go back in to the machine. All right, this one is similar to the last one. This is called the Move Sensor Roller. Okay, you see the same sort of thing going on here. This has a little cover going on here for this whole assembly, and let's get this assembly out of the way so we can work on this. Not sure, do we need to remove the cover or not? Probably be wise so we could see what's going on. Just to take the cover out of the way. There we go. You can see there's an optical disc in there, which is going to be a little tricky here because we got to take this off in order to take the shaft off, in order to take the bearings off. All right. So let's see if this is, we can do it with the pliers or I'll have to get a wrench. Nope, that'll come off. You gotta be really careful about this. You don't want to damage that optical wheel there. We have a washer. And our little optical wheel. Other washer. And nothing else there. All right, so this is what we get. We got that, and that. And that order on there. All right. Now you can see right here the snap ring is set up again. And we'll take that E clip off. E clip off. This should come up. Pretty sure we're going to have that spring set up in there too. But again, everything's a little tight. Let's Let's do this to help make it a little easier. Let's get rid of this circuit board out of our way. This way we don't break anything as we're doing that stuff. I guess we could have did it the other way too, is remove the circuit board off the bracket, but 6 1/2 dozen of the other. All right, this should lift right out of here, out of the way. Let's see the amount of dirt and stuff, just typical here. Okay, now let's go back to this here. We have that same deal of this is probably sticking on that. To get there right in the middle before the shaft's going to come out of there. It's not. Well, the diagrams show that's it. Let's pause this and see what we can do here. Well, that's exactly what was wrong. It just needed to be lined up like we did before. It's got to be perfectly lined up. Once it is, you could see then I could release that. Okay, so I have a clip, I have this, I have an insides washer, I have the bearing and spring in there that aren't coming out yet, but don't worry, they will. The entire shaft here. Let's see if we can nudge it with this. If we can't, we'll just pull this right out. Okay. That over there, no, nothing there, nothing there. And now we're going to go with, we need to get a smaller, thinner punch in here. So we got to pause again. Okay, now we have a little longer punch now. And I'm on the side of the bearing. Just a little tap like that. And here's our bearing. And spring. Another washer down. Notice this washer on the inside between the spring and the bearing. All right. And the other side is going to require the same sort of thing. Let's go back to the brass punch because it's nicer. And that's it. Takes that bearing out. So there we are, all disassembled. Okay, and oh, yes, that's pretty bad. This one isn't too bad, but This one's bad. All right, let's pause that. Let's clean these bearings out. All right, everything is now cleaned. Let's see if we can assemble this thing. So, like the other one, first thing is a bearing on top. There we go. All right. Then we will put this shaft in again. We're going to put that drop of oil on those two places. Just so it goes into the bearing a little easier. All right. Next, it's followed by our spring. It's a good point. It just dawned on me. I don't recall seeing that spacer on this one. So after our spring, we have that washer like that, and then the bearing. This is going to be somewhat tricky because we got to get this all lined up right, or this isn't sliding in. There we go. Not as tricky as I thought. All right. Followed by the little washer. And this washer that has to go again perfectly there, all good. Followed by our E-ring. There's our E-ring snapped in. Oh, much nicer. Much nicer. Okay. Now, not sure which is easier here. This, which I'm pretty sure goes like that. I guess if I left that a little loose, we could put all this together without damaging our wheel. Just trying to figure out where the camera was there. And then this nut. Tighten that in a second. Okay, so now what we got to do is get these screws in from underneath. Pause this because if I use my other wrench, this would be a little easier. So let me pause it for a second. I'll be right back. Okay. Here's the problem. We got this lined up wrong. this, swings around. So it's on here, just like that. Yeah, I was right. I just turned it a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now, what I realized there is the whole reason for that shield is because of this optical encoder and the wheel. See the wheel now. So we don't want any light to get into here and screw up that thing, hence the shield. Okay, pretty simple. Shield goes on there like that. Slides up, goes into there, and let's put this down so I can do this. All right. And that is our, I believe that's called move sensor. Move sensor, assembly, and roller. And that's it. That goes on the right-hand side, and we're ready to put that all back together. Well, if you're still here, I know that was a long one, but you can see exactly how involved this is. That's just a small section of it, and we finally got those two assemblies done. We're pretty close to. We have a few more stuff to do on the top deck before we can go underneath it and into more stuff in the machine. So please subscribe if you haven't. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the bell for notifications. And thank you all for joining me on this restoration.